Yeah, you can grow. Nobody can hear you. Okay. We're coming on for gentle yoga on Thursday. What day is it? The 15th. Yep. Okay, we are going to get ready to start though. I guess I guess we can be quiet now. So, those of you at home, get comfortable, take your time. I'm going to glance and see if anybody's watching and if they can let me know if the sound is okay. I'm hoping I clicked this on right. I think I'm all right. Let me know if you can hear me. Just a thumbs up or whatever you can manage to do would be great. And then start to get comfortable. So, whether you're here in the studio and you need to grab a blanket to sit on, or same thing at home, or a chair, sit comfortably, let yourself close your eyes. And now just enjoy receiving your breaths in and out. Take your time to feel those easy breaths now. You're not forcing it, just receiving your breaths into the belly, feeling your belly rise and expand a little bit. Good. Fuller, deeper breaths if you can. Coming in towards those 3-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. When you exhale, imagine the breath coming out of the chest first, then the ribs, then your belly. And if you can, let your breaths become a little bit longer on your exhale. So as you inhale, maybe let yourself count, see what you reach. See if you can reach about 2 counts longer for your inhale, or even longer than that if you can. So you think on your exhales, sorry. So you think about extending your exhales out just a little bit longer than your inhales. And now on your next exhale, let your chin come down towards your chest. Release your head forward. Let go there through the back of the neck. And then on your inhale, rising your head on back up, letting your chin be more parallel to the floor. And let's exhale our left ear towards our left shoulder. So letting yourself release there on the right side of your neck. And then see if you can bring your right arm up as well. Just a little bit. Flex your hand. Feel a little bit more there in the side of the neck. And then we'll rise on back up and let your head go the other way. So once your ear goes towards your shoulder, the opposite arm comes up a little bit. And you can just release there. Flex through your hand. Let yourself release through the side of your neck. And then we'll release to come on back up to center. See if you can look up just a little bit, rising the chin up. Not so much that you drop your head back, but you feel your chest rising up a little bit. You bring your gaze up. And then come on back to look forward, and we'll inhale now both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse to inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open your arms on back out and down like wings. And then from here, take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist either direction, either way you want to go. And once you get there, inhale again into the length of your spine. And when you exhale, you're going to twist the other way. We're going to move with our breath here, right? So when you're in the twist, you're going to take a nice inhale. And then when you exhale, you're going to reverse over to the other side into that twist. So you're moving at your own pace. Letting your inhales lengthen you up, letting your exhales bring you off to the other direction for your twists. Let it feel easy, not forced at all, just like you're waking up your spine very naturally with these movements. And the next time that you come into a twist here, stay for your inhale. And this next exhale will bring us back around into center again. And from here, let's rise our arms forward, straight out from our shoulders, and flex both our hands here. Really press into the heels of the hands without rolling your shoulders forward. Think about your chest coming forward a little bit. And then turn your hands the opposite way, fingertips facing down. Press into the heels of the hands there. And then turn the fingertips back up again, and let's make a loose fist with our hands and start to circle your hands as you let your arms come out and they get wider and wider out beside you. So take your time, keep the circling going as you get your arms straight out from your shoulders sideways, and then reverse. Let your circles go the other way, but keep your hands where they are, arms where they are. And then we will finish off to release our hands on down. Shake your hands out a little bit. If you are cross-legged on the floor, switch the cross of your legs so that you bring your other leg in front. And if you need to stretch your legs out a little bit in between, do. And then we'll come on back to sitting nice and tall, bringing our arms on out beside us again. Let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And now on the exhale, lower your left arm down, reach up through the right side of the body. And we'll come over into a side stretch, breathing into that side you're stretching. Letting yourself feel your sit bones reaching down. And now see if you can just turn your head to look towards the ground a little bit, releasing your neck there. And then come on back to look forward. We're going to rise on back up, and we're going to switch to the other side, letting that other arm come up. And then again, as you come into your side stretch, breathing into that side you're stretching. If you're on the floor, your hand can be on the floor. In your chair, you can put it in your lap if you want, or hold on to your chair leg. And see if you can just turn your head again to look down towards the ground. And then we'll come on back to turn to look to the front. And we're going to come on back up, letting our hands come behind us now. If you're in a chair, you can just drape over the back of the chair. If you're on the floor, you can put your fingertips on the floor. You can go flat onto your hands if you choose. Let yourself just open here and be mindful. How does your neck feel? Do you want to look up a little bit? Do you prefer to keep your chin parallel to the floor? Or do you want to look all the way up at the ceiling, and stretch your throat out a little bit? That doesn't feel good for everybody's neck. So be where you can. One more breath. And then we'll rise on back up. Bring your chin back down towards your chest easily here. And then just turn your head a little bit side to side. Let your neck go there. Good. And then we'll come on back to center with the chin down and then rise the head on back up. Letting your hands release out beside you again. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Take a breath here, seated mountain. Really feel easy as you sit here, lengthening up through the top of your head. Feel your feet in the floor, whatever part of your feet are touching. Doesn't matter whether it's your bottoms of your feet or the outside edges of your feet or your heels maybe. And then just lengthen up. Enjoy all that space in your spine. And we're going to unfold our arms now on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. We're coming on around towards our hands and knees. So if you don't want to be on your knees, grab whatever you need to not be on your knees. A blanket, if you feel good with a blanket under your knees, or maybe even under your hands as well. And then if you're up on the chair, get your feet right underneath your hips. And if you're on your knees, get your knees right underneath your hips. And start to ease your way now into a very neutral spine. So look down between your hands. Try not to pull your belly in and round up into your back. Let your spine find neutral, right? Good. Inhaling here. And then on the exhale, drawing your navel towards your spine and rounding up into your back. And on your inhale, sending your tailbone back and up and moving back through into your cow pose. So take your time, moving with your own breath at your own speed, stopping in either pose if you feel like you want to stay in your cat or cow do. Just enjoy moving through the spine here. Very natural feeling, right? Good. Let's finish off the one we're on and come back to more neutral spine now, finding that neutral again. So looking between your hands, letting yourself allow the spine just to come into its natural alignment, natural curves. And we're going to bring our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into lunge. Now, you know you can use the chair. You can go up to the back of the chair, be higher. You can go to the seat. You can use your blocks any height if you prefer, highest or middle or lowest. But take your time. Get yourself set here in your lunge. Remember, you want your feet like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. So take your time. Press your feet gently away from each other. Engage your belly a little bit. If you want to lift your right hand or forearm up, left hand or forearm up to your left thigh, you can. So that you come a little bit more into the legs. And then we're going to switch and go to the other side. Bringing that right foot forward. And again, getting the feet aligned. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Press your feet away from each other. Engage the belly. Whether you want to lift your right hand or forearm up to your thigh there is up to you. Good. We're going to switch again. So coming back again to that left foot forward and pressing those feet away from each other. Again, if you want to lift up, some of you may even want to put both hands right there on your thigh above your knee. If you feel like you want to come up a little higher, do it. Otherwise, keep both hands down. And we're going to switch again. So coming down with the hands, stepping that left foot back, finding again that alignment of that front knee. And then again deciding, do you feel like lifting a hand or hands or forearm up or not? And then we'll come on back down with the hands. We'll step forward to come into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. For a second, lift your toes up, and provide support however you need. Hands can be on your chair. They can be on the blocks. Let your toes lift up. Look at your own feet. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside edges of your feet or the inside edges of your feet, right? You want to feel very equal. Big toe mound, little toe mound, inner and outer heel into the mat. Arches lifting up. And then let the toes gently release back down to the floor. Come into your breath now, really releasing into watching the breaths in and out. Whatever support you need, elbows above the knees, hands on the chair or the blocks. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up just for a second. Really feel your wrists there. Feel the sense of just feeling the hands coming more firmly together there. And then just let your elbows soften down. And so the connection's not as firm, but you still feel really connected through the hands, each finger, your thumbs. And then feel your feet in the floor. Go back to the feet. Press the feet gently down like you're pushing the floor away from you, right? Knees a little soft so you're not locking your knees. And then just start to grow up into your mountain pose from your feet being grounded. So as you feel the feet equal, start to feel your thighs lifting upward. Feel the hips coming over your ankles and your shoulders over your hips. Imagine that string tied to the base of your spine coming up through your spinal column and out the top of your head. And someone's pulling up on that string. So you have lots of space, all kinds of room to breathe. And as we unfold our arms now on down beside us, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend the knees, coming on forward into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. However you need to do that. Hands on the legs or on the blocks of the chair. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhaling here. Exhaling into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time. If your hands are on the blocks, remember, you're still feeling those elbows hug towards each other, letting yourself reach back through your sitting bones. Your heels might or might not be on the floor. And if your hands are on the floor, you're more like a real upside down V, your heels hovering off the mat. Let's let our next inhale bring us on out towards a plank. So engage your belly, walk a little bit in your plank. Bend one knee at a time if you can. Keeping the belly strong, trying not to drop into the belly. And then come back to your full plank. We're going to make our way back into down dog from there. We'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge from here. And you know you can put your left knee down to do that. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath us. Right into your breaths. Whatever support you want, or holding your elbows if you choose. You want a little bit more extra added weight. You can have your hands release, maybe to the back of your legs even. Some of you may want to put your hands up on your low back. So see if you can feel the ribs expanding as you inhale. And as you exhale, imagine the top of your head just getting closer towards the ground. And as we let our hands come back up to our hips, we're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's stretch our arms straight out into a T position. Let your hands come straight out from your shoulders. Feel your palms facing down. Let it feel really good. And then, doesn't matter which arm you bring on top, give yourself a hug. Bring one arm on top of the other. Let yourself get up, give yourself a hug, and then tilt your head a little bit side to side. Very slowly, easily. Just letting yourself release through the neck, the upper back. And then finish off, come on back up with your head at the top there. And we're going to slide now back of the hands towards each other. You may just want to go a little ways. You may want to keep on going, sending the backs of the hands closer together. Or you may want to do your entire wrap, where you bring your hand to the palm of the other hand, your fingers. So that's up to you. And if you prefer to stay hugging, stay hugging. Don't do any of this at all. Just let yourself release your shoulders in the hug. One more breath. Now remember which arm you have on top. We're going to unwind, stretch our arms straight back out into that T position. And then we're going to bring the other arm on top to give ourselves a hug, which usually feels pretty different. You'll do the most comfortable side first. And then go ahead and let your head tilt again, side to side. Let it feel good. And if you get to a place where you go, oh, I feel a real little tightness, maybe back there in your upper back, maybe in your neck, you may want to stay and just breathe. Let it release a little bit. And then finish off so that you come back up with the head. Release your shoulders if you want. Start to release the backs of the hands towards each other. Now, you don't have to go very far. You can decide to go into that full eagle wrap or not. You can stay with your hands hugging. So be where you can be, where it's the most release for your shoulders. Let yourself breathe into between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll unwind those arms. Bring them all the way down beside us here now. Now bring your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers and clasp your hands. Send the hands down. So you feel the hands sliding down the buttocks. Try not to tuck your tailbone forward. Let your tailbone reach down towards between your heels. Inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. You may just want to go a little ways. That's up to you. You can fold where you're parallel to the floor. You can let your legs come longer or keep them knees bent, or you can fold all the way over your legs if you choose. If your shoulders feel okay to release your arms off your back, you can do that. And then we'll release our arms on down. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. Nice long back again, flat back. And we're going to step left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose. So again, come into your down dog. Walk a little bit. Bend a knee at a time if you can. Let yourself feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Good. And then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale bring you out towards your plank. Now again, in your plank here, if you feel like going to your forearms, do it. If you feel better to put your knees down and do a half plank, do. Some of you may want to bend your elbows, do a little push-up. If you want to do that, you can come into a little bit of push-ups. And then we'll release back again into downward facing dog pose. Left foot's going to come forward to lunge this time. So if you need to put your right knee down to get that left foot forward and through, do. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet underneath us again. Right to your breaths. See if you can again think of letting your exhales extend out a little bit longer than your inhales. So when you breathe in and then breathe out, see if you can let that exhale be at least 2 counts higher, maybe even a lot more than that. It depends on you. Don't force it, but let it happen really easily. And then we'll let our hands come up to our hips and bend our knees, press into our feet, rising up and inhaling our arms out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down, come into a little chair pose, bring your gaze about 6 feet in front of you on the floor there. Just be mindful here. Feel even between your feet. Feel your thighs. Think about your inner thighs releasing down a little bit. So you have your knees lined up out over the center of your feet. One more breath. And then we're going to press into our feet, rise up, inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you come into your standing forward bend. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. And we're going to walk into down dog from here. So take your time, come back into your down dog. And let your next inhale bring you out to your plank. You can do a back bend or not, right? You can put your knees down, come into Sphinx if you want. You can come into an up dog or a cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog. And we're going to do that again. So let your next inhale carry you out towards your plank. Again, you can do a back bend or not. You can stay in your plank. You can do push-ups. You can come to the floor, come up into a little cobra or a Sphinx. And then we'll come on back into down dog. And we'll bring our left foot forward from here to come into lunge. And all the way back now into our standing forward bend. Right to your breath. And don't even think about what you do with your hands. Let them go where they want. You know, if you need support and you want to rest your elbows above your knees, just let that be very natural and easy. Feeling the pose, just allow the backs of the legs to open up. Good. We're going to bring our hands to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. Now, as your hands get in front of your chest, lift your elbows up again like we did before. Feel that sense of the hands coming a little more firmly together. And then as you exhale, just let the elbows soften down. Keep connected through the hands, but you're allowing yourself now just to enjoy coming into mountain pose, grounding through your feet. Feeling the lightness in your head. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. And shake out a little bit. Move around however you need to. If you need to walk around, do. And we're going to come into Warrior 2. So if you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around. But have your blocks handy at the front of your mat here. And if you're having your chair, it can actually be turned either way. But we are going to start to bend into that left knee and come into lining up that right foot back there about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Although you can send your heel back further if your foot, your ankle, your knee, and hip allow it. And now take your time. Let yourself release here. Look down at your left knee. And make sure that left knee is not going out there so you can't see your toes. You want to make sure you've really got the knee over the center of the foot. And now keep looking down if you can, but reach your right arm straight back behind you here now. Reach back and feel it coming right straight back from your shoulder. And then as you start to rise that left arm up, let your gaze stay right there over the top of that left hand as you come into your Warrior 2 here. Reaching the fingertips away from the midline. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. Feet equal in the mat. And as we turn the left palm up, we're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. If your right hand can slide a little more down your right leg and you can go back a little further, do. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can come onto your thigh, onto your chair if you'd rather. And if you want to add that right arm up into line with the right side of the body, do. It's perfectly fine to keep the hand down on your hip. So if your shoulder bothers you, sometimes it feels better even to put the hand just straight up from the shoulder. One more breath. And we're going to come on back into Warrior 2, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. Good. We're going to put our right hand down on our right hip and straighten our left leg out. And we're going to come into triangle now. Left hand is going to come down. Maybe just out to the chair back here. Maybe down to the seat of the chair. Maybe you want to use a block. The block can be in front of or behind that left leg there. And then, if you can, look down at your left foot for a second. Make sure that you're not rolling to the outside of it, which is tempting. And then turn your gaze to look back, forward, and you can stretch your right arm straight up if you choose in your triangle pose. Thighs engaging up towards the hips. Feel that sense of really enjoying that side waist, that right side waist stretch. One more breath. We're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior 2, pressing the feet away from each other as we come. And as we bring our hands down, we're going to straighten the left leg out and turn our feet more parallel. So you want your feet wider than your shoulders. How much wider is up to you for wide-legged forward bend. And then if you need your blocks, grab a block or two blocks as you want as you come forward. So take your time. Let yourself get your feet attempting to be pretty parallel. And then go ahead and bend one knee at a time. Let yourself just ease your way into your inner thighs there. Take your time. Really enjoying coming into these wide legs here now. Now come back to center, and it doesn't matter whether you keep your knees bent or straight. Hands come out in front of you so your back is nice and long, whether you're on the blocks or the floor. Really lengthen. And then press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And that makes your inner thighs want to melt their way back behind you. And then you decide from here. You can, if you want, you can walk your hands back towards between your feet and let your head hang and release that way. Or you can prop yourself up on blocks, either using your hands to hold you or your forearms. If you stack blocks up, sometimes you can get out of your hands there. And then just be. Easily accepting your breaths now, in and out. And let your face go. So you might find that you're gripping a little bit with your jaw, or you might feel kind of tight around your mouth or around your eyes. See if you can let it all go. letting the face be soft, letting the breath easily come in and out. One more full deep breath here. And now to come up, you take your time. Use whatever you need to help you get up. You can bring your hands to your thighs. You can walk your feet more together first. And walk around a little bit if you need. Move through your feet and your ankles if that helps you before we do the other side. So we'll come into stepping the left foot back for Warrior 2 here now. So if you have your chair there, it just gives you a little stability. You can put your hand on the back of the chair so that you don't feel like you're going to fall over when you're getting into the pose. Especially if you're not familiar with them, right, with the poses. So take your time. Bend that right knee and really set up your back foot here where you're feeling okay up into your knee, all the way up into your hip. And then look down again at your right knee and make sure you're not sending that knee way far out or in towards your big toe. Think about it coming over the center of your foot. And then reach back through your left arm. With your head still down, you're still looking down towards your right leg there, your right foot. Now, when you start to reach through the right fingertips and rise the arm up, keep your gaze right there over the top of your hand. And there's a certain place where you just want to go to, where it feels just perfect, where you don't feel like you're lifting your chin and tensing up your neck, but you're not lowering your chin down either. Feels really good and strong. Your strong Warrior 2. We're going to turn that right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up. Let the left hand give you a little support. If you want to slide it down a little bit, do. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into that side angle. So right hand comes down. Again, onto your thigh, onto your chair. Forearm can go down if you want to go lower. And then you can decide about whether bringing that top left arm up is a good idea or not. So the hand can stay down right there on your hip if your shoulder feels better with that. Or you can bring the arm up into line with the left side of the body. Or you can bring the arm straight up if that's better for you. So one more breath. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior 2. Press those feet away from each other. It gets you right back into your core. And now let your left hand come to your left hip. We're going to straighten the right knee out, and we're bringing that right hand down for a triangle. So it can be on your leg. You can slide the hand down towards your thigh above your knee or to your shin. You can grab 2 blocks if you want. Remember, you can stack blocks up if you have 2 of them. Let yourself be up higher in your triangle pose. Thighs engaging upward. Top arm, if you choose to add it, straight up from your shoulder, with the palm facing forward. And you can play too. If it feels good to think of turning to look up towards the ceiling, you can. You can press your left hand a little forward. That way it'll ease you a little bit more into the upper back. One more breath. And then we're going to bend that right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior 2. Press those feet away from each other as you come. And now we'll bring our hands down, and we're going to turn our feet more parallel. Remember, if you want your blocks, grab your blocks and come on forward. And this time, once you get your feet set, how far apart you want, and you feel pretty comfortable, let's walk over towards the right foot. Now, you might just want to use your blocks, shift a little over. You may feel like you want to walk all the way over and hold on to your right foot or the outside of the right ankle. And then we'll come on back through center, and again, going to the left, you decide how far. So you can stay on blocks and go just a little ways. You may decide to walk all the way over, drawing the torso more over towards your leg. Good, and then come on back into center. Again, hands can be on blocks or the floor. And see if you can turn your heels forward so your toes are turned out a little bit now. And then bend your right knee. That might be enough. Now, if you want, if it feels good, you can lift your left foot up off the floor of that long leg. The heel's on the floor, but the foot lifts up, and you can get a little more there. And then you can come back to center and shift the other way. So Bend the left knee. If you want to stay with that right heel on the floor but lift the foot up, you can. Don't do it if it hurts. And then we'll come on back into center. Turn your toes back more parallel with the feet again, forward. And then just release. Let yourself again. If you feel like bringing your hands back towards between your feet, you can let yourself release all the way to crown of the head, releasing down towards the ground. Or, of course, if your back feels better, keep that support. And be with your breath. Let the breath feel like it's the most important thing right now. That's all you need to do is just watch your breaths in and out. Good. One more breath. And then letting our hands come on back again above the knees. We can rise up. And again, if you want to bring your feet more together, first do. And then once you do get your feet together, walk around a little bit. Move around however you need. Good. And we're going to come to Warrior One this time. So you can have your chair turned either way. If you're unsteady, turn your chair where you can hold on to the back of it. Otherwise, we'll step our right foot back into that front-facing warrior. So drawing your shoulders around, square towards the front of your mat. And actually, at first, straighten both your legs out for a second. And you know, you have this back foot turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. Shoulders are around square. If you're in a pretty short stance, your hips are pretty square to the front of your mat, but don't force it. And then bend that left knee, that front knee. Let yourself look down. Find that alignment there. If you feel unsteady, you can widen your feet out. And then bring your gaze on forward. We're going to inhale the arms forward and all the way up. So you can widen them into a V if that's better for your shoulders. You can keep the arms forward if you'd rather. Or you can have the arms right above the shoulders if that feels good for you. Turn your pinkies towards each other. Lift your gaze up just a little bit if you can. When you lift that gaze up, you feel the belly automatically respond. And then just inhale up the front of the body. Imagine your exhales flowing down the back of your body. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down. We're going to bring our hands down and find lunge here. So as the hands come to whatever surface you want, the blocks or the chair or the floor, release that right heel now directly behind your right foot. And we'll add a twist. Left hand up to the left hip, turning into that twist. So drawing yourself into the length here. You can stretch your left arm up if you want, or you can keep the left hand down. Take your time. Just enjoy coming into that twist in your lunge, feeling that twist in the middle of the back. One more breath. And then we'll bring the hand on back down. We're going to step forward, get our feet right underneath us. Bend both your knees a little bit, press into your feet equally, and then rise yourself on up and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands on down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose for a second, just by being with your breath. So again, just watch your breath. Let the body naturally do what it wants to do, which is really your body wants to align. It makes everything easier. So just let your breath settle down. Let yourself feel equal through your feet. Feel the body want to stack itself up. Nice. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. Move around if you need. We're going to do the other side. So you come towards the front of your mat. This time left foot steps back for that warrior one. So again, if you feel more stable to let your feet go more towards the edges of your mat, do. Straighten that right leg out for a second and look. Make sure you're coming around. You've got that right foot really fully in the floor. You're coming around with your shoulders. Maybe your hips are pretty square. And then go ahead, look down. Bend that right knee. Try to line it up. Feel really equal in your foot there. And then releasing the arms on down, bringing your gaze forward. We'll inhale the arms forward and up. And again, you can widen them. You can keep them forward. Think of your pinkies turning towards each other. If you can look up a little bit, do feel that lift in the front of your left hip. That lift through the front of the body and that release down the back of the body. And that's where the breath helps. Inhaling up the front of the body and exhaling down the back of the body. One more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on down. We're going to find lunge, remember. So hands come to whatever surface you want to use. Probably stepping the left foot a little farther back for most of us. Letting that heel release directly behind. And then bringing your right hand to your right hip and turning into your twist here. Hand can just stay there on your hip or palm down onto your low back. Trying to stay fairly level. If you want to stretch your right arm up, you can. Just enjoy reaching back through that inner heel, reaching out through the top of your head. And then we'll come on down with our hand. We're going to step forward, get our feet right underneath us again. And then press into your feet as you rise on up. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. Let your knees soften a little bit. So bend your knees, feel equal through your feet. And then come on into your mountain. So imagine now that your head is growing up into the clouds in a way. You feel real light in your head. Easy, shoulders feel nice and wide and open. Shoulders feel like they're over your hips, hips over the ankles. Nice. And then we'll release, let our arms come on down and shake out. Move around a little bit. Do whatever you want. We are going to bring our mats to a wall. So you're going to turn that way. Donna will come into here. Everybody else is set. Don't really need our chairs anymore unless you like to use them for something at home. You can keep it handy if you want. But let's come into a little bit of a tree pose. So let's all bring our left hand towards a support. And at home, it might be a wall, a little bit of a wall. It might be, a kitchen counter or a table or something beside you, right? So standing on your left foot, go ahead and look at your left foot. You want it to be about parallel to the wall beside you. And now, if you need to turn your toes a little bit towards the wall so there's a bit of a hip turnout, you can do that. Just not a lot, right? So as you feel grounded through that foot, bring the right foot in, maybe below your knee. You might even want to just put your heel on your inner ankle. Let your toes be on the floor. That's a little broader base of support. Or you might want to put the foot on the inside of your calf with the heel below the inside of your knee. Or you might want to bring the foot up into the inside of your thigh so that you have the foot up higher into the inner leg. Feel the foot in the leg. Let yourself start to play a little bit with your balance, bringing your hands either arms overhead or hands to your heart or a little bit of both. Let your focus come to a place where you can keep your gaze. Good. One more breath. And then come on down, turn to face the wall or the support, and put your hands on the support so you can then lift your left foot up in the air. Flex through the left foot. Now, some of you may want to reach back with your left hand and get a hold of the left foot to do a quad stretch, or you may not be able to. So it's fine. You can just flex the foot, feel like you're drawing your heel towards your buttocks. If you have the foot, see if you can consciously pull the heel in towards the outside a little bit of your buttocks. So kind of to the outer edge of the hip, right? And now some of you from there may want to start to press the foot into your hand and let the knee come back a little bit. Let your chest come forward a little bit. That's up to you. That quad stretch, totally up to you. And then we're going to release, bring the knee on back down, bring the foot back down, and we're going to turn the other way. So bringing our right hand towards support. standing on the right foot. So again, make sure you're not awfully turning that foot way out. You know, it can be a tiny bit if it's better in your hip. But let yourself shift your weight onto that right foot, bringing the left foot in again. So either heel to the inside of your ankle with the toes on the floor still. Bring the foot in below the knee. Or bring the foot all the way up in really high, you know. So that all depends on how you're built in your hips. Feel the foot just gently coming into the inside of your leg. Play a little bit with releasing however you can, whether it's bringing hands to your heart or bringing your arms up overhead. It's always fine to readjust and come back into the pose if you start to fall out of it. Just remember there's a little bit of swaying sometimes in tree pose. That's fine. One more breath. And then we'll release to come on down. We're going to turn to face the wall or the support. Bring our right foot behind us. Flex the foot. You may just want to stay right there. And you can decide if you can get the foot or not, whether you can bring the heel in more towards the buttocks without resistance. So you're actually really feeling the foot, feeling the heel being pulled in with your hand, with your arm. And then you can decide if you want to come forward with your chest, back with your knee a little bit. And you can do that even if you don't have the foot, right? So you can do it with or without holding onto your foot. Good. And then we'll release and come on down. Step away from the wall a little bit and see if you can just separate your feet a little wider and make circles with your hips, almost like you're hula hooping. So let the hips release. Knees are bent. If this does anything weird to torque your knees, don't do it. But so you can keep the knees bent. You might even decide you want to have the legs a little straighter. That might feel even better. It depends on you, really. So let your hips get released. Circle the other way so you can let go the other way. Good. And then we'll release and come on down. We're going to make our way down onto the floor, onto our bellies. So come on down. Let yourself come on down to rest on your belly. Take your time. Make a little pillow with your hands if you're comfortable to do that. Rest your forehead on your hands. Bend your knees once you're there and let your feet circle. So release your ankles by circling your feet. Both directions, so it feels really good. And if windshield wiper blades with those lower legs feels good, let the legs go side to side, those lower legs. And if that bothers you, don't do it. Either knees or hips, right? Or back. Good. And then come on back, stretch your legs out long. Curl your toes under for a second. And then lift your knees up. So you've got your toes curled under. You're really stretching out the bottoms of your feet because you're pulling your toes back towards you. They're on the floor, and you're pressing into your heels. And you can feel the belly engaging. The tailbone's going to curl down a little bit here. And now release, let the thighs come back down. Go ahead, come to the tops of the feet, and let's draw our arms up under us into Sphinx pose. Elbows under the shoulders, spreading the fingers nice and wide, letting yourself enjoy here. You know, if you feel good to look a little more forward of your hands, do it, if it feels okay to your neck. If not, you can look right between your hands. Just enjoy. Good. One more breath. And now bring your hands to clasp each other. Send your pinky fingers out. You decide if you want to do a half plank or a full forearm plank. So you can come up to the flesh above your knees with the feet flexed and come into a half forearm plank here. Or you can put your toes down, lift your knees up, and come into a full forearm plank. Pressing down into the forearms, elbows hugging towards each other. Just let yourself breathe, zip up the belly. Good. And then we'll come on back down. And now let yourself roll onto your left forearm. Now you get your left elbow right under your shoulder. You're up on your forearm here. Now this might be enough to draw your knees forward and just stay right here, right? It's fine because if you're pressing down instead of sinking into that left shoulder, you're engaging all the muscles that come wrapping around and forward under your arm. Try to let go here kind of in the top of your shoulder. Now, if you want more, you can stretch the top leg out, right? And then add your top arm into a nice long line here. And that's kind of a nice stretch right there. Now, for those who want more, right, you can bring the top foot on the floor in front of you now, stretch the bottom leg long, and then you might be able to lift your hips up into a side plank variation there. Don't do it if it's too much for your shoulder. Absolutely do not do it if it's too much. And then we're going to release down. We're going to go to the other side. So just let yourself roll on over to the other side and get onto your right forearm there. Your elbow is right under your shoulder. Make a loose fist with your hand and send that fist a little towards that corner of your mat. So instead of the arm being parallel to the front edge, there's a little bit of an angle. It usually feels a little better for the shoulder. And you can stay right here and be perfectly happy. And if you decide you want to stretch the top leg out and reach the top arm long, you can let yourself stretch through there. A nice side stretch. Also, you're pressing into that right forearm, so a lot more going on than you might think. And then come on down. Now, if you want to do more, stretch the bottom leg out. Put the top foot on the floor in front of you. And if you want to lift your hips up and come into that side plank variation here, you can. If anybody wants to do full side plank, go for it. Stack your feet up if you want. You can always put the top foot on the floor in front of or behind the bottom one. You don't have to do any of that. Good. Come on down when you want. Let yourself roll on back to your belly. And come on down all the way to forehead on the mat. Bring your hands in by your shoulders really close. So down to the upper chest. So not right under your shoulders, but down to the upper chest. Hug your elbows in towards each other. And on your next inhale, lift your head and your chest up a little bit. It's a baby cobra. This might be enough right here. Don't force it. If it's too much, come down lower. Now see it from here. You can shift up to your hands and your knees and shift your hips back just a little bit. Not a lot, not all the way into child's pose, but enough to stretch out your back a little bit. And then see if you can come forward. Now, you don't have to go all the way into cobra. You can come just a little bit. You've got control. You're coming from the top instead of the bottom into this cobra. If you want to let your hips go all the way and let yourself start to bring your chest forward and look forward, you can. Elbows hug in. Try not to lock your elbows. They're bent a little bit. And then you can shift your hips back again in towards that child's pose, but not all the way. Just releasing. See if you can do that again. If you're like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, don't do it. But if it feels okay, you can come out to a half plank and stay there without adding the back bend. Or you can really slowly move your way through in towards a cobra. Nice. And then we'll come on back into fully child's pose now. So if you can, get yourself big toes together, knees apart, do. And the ticket is what it feels like in your knees and your hips and your back. So do not do it. If it's too much, stay forward on your forearms. But see if you can be with your breath now and direct your breath to your low back. So feeling the low back expand as you inhale. Good. One more full deep breath here. And we'll let our hands come back by our knees so we can press our way up. And let's bring our legs around in front of us. So let yourself stretch your legs out. If you know sitting is better done for you on a blanket, grab yourself a blanket and sit up so you have a little bit of height there. And then we're going to keep our right leg long. Remember, I'm not going to mirror. And left leg is going to come into a figure 4. Now, you can be below your knee or you can be above the knee. Take your time, flex through that foot, and then ease your way forward a little bit here. Now, feel the heel of that long leg in the ground. Draw the heel back towards you. Let yourself come forward. Now, you can put your hand on your foot. You can interlace your fingers if you want between your toes, if that feels really good to find space there between the toes. And then just imagine that you're coming forward from your low back, and it's almost a little like you're leading with your chest so that you're not coming forward with that rounded upper back, but instead you're coming forward with a nice long back. But again, if you feel the heel of that right foot on the floor and draw it back towards you, you're very much engaged and you're getting a stretch in your hamstring. If this bothers your left knee, I forgot to say it, grab a block and put a block under it. It can be really helpful. Good. One more breath here. And now as we slowly rise back up, we're going to take a twist here. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, twist to your left. Let your right hand come towards that left knee. Let yourself come on around, lengthening up now through the top of the head. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. Engage your low belly. It's almost like you're lifting your pelvic floor upwards. One more breath. Now we're going to stay in this twist, but we're going to turn our head to look over towards the right and then look down towards your foot there, towards your left foot. Just releasing through the neck here, letting go. Let your face relax. And now we're going to bring everything back to center. So let yourself just release all the way back on around into center. Come forward again very briefly, just to give yourself a little bit of a break after that twist. And then we're going to switch legs. So coming to the other leg. So right again, ankle above or below the knee. If you feel iffy at all, you can always put support underneath this right leg. Again, you can wrap your hand around to interlace your fingers if you want between your toes, or you're more than welcome to just press the foot into the hand. Just let yourself find the left heel drawing back towards you so that you feel that sense of connection there between your heel and your sitting bone, really. And there you have your stretch forward, but with engagement at the same time in the front and the back of your leg. So on your inhales, just imagine lengthening through your spine all the way out through the top of your head. And on your exhales, imagine just coming a little more forward. One more breath. And then slowly, as you start to come up now, take a nice inhale at the top. And on the exhale, twisting to your right, left hand comes over and around towards that knee. Midline if you'd rather, onto the shin if you'd rather. But let yourself come into twist. Heel on the floor again. Lifting up through the pelvic floor, feeling that lift up through the top of your head. Think of your chin being about parallel to the floor if you can. One more inhale. Now, as you exhale, turn just your head. You're still in the twist in the spine, but you're going to turn back into it with the head now looking down with your gaze towards your right foot. And then again, try to let go here of your face. So you're not squinching up your face, tensing up at all. Good. One more breath. And now everything's going to come back to center and bringing your head on back up. And we're going to stretch both our legs out, bring our hands back behind us, and let yourself just release now into the front of the body. Draw the chest a little forward. You can stay up on your fingertips. You can lean back onto your flat hands if you want. Let it feel like a big release. You can look where it feels good for you. I mean, you may feel now like you want to look up a little bit and stretch out through the throat. And then we're going to come on back up, and we are going to bring our legs out into a little bit of a wide angle. Now, for some of us, might be more than others. It depends on how you're built. Knees can be bent if you need. You can slip blocks under your knees. You can slip roll blankets under your knees. But take your time. Feel your heels on the floor. Press into the heels. Draw them back towards you. Let yourself come a little bit forward if you can. If you want to go farther, but just feeling the inner thighs. Make sure your toes aren't rolling forward or backward. Let those inner thighs get some release there. And then come up and let yourself just slide your left hand down your left leg a little bit. Now, we're not going to stay. When you inhale, you're going to rise back up. Now, this takes you using your belly. Exhale the other side. Let yourself slide down. And then as you inhale, use your belly to draw you back up to the top. So again, exhaling, coming to whatever side you want. Stay here this time. And let yourself release that top arm straight up if you can. If that bothers your shoulder, don't do it. And then if you want, let the arm lower on down towards your head. Turn the palm down more towards the floor if you can. Breathing into that side you're stretching. And then we'll come on back up, and we're going to go right away to the other side. So bring that hand down, slide it on down as far as you want to go. Roll that top shoulder up, and then see if you can lift the arm straight up, if that's okay for your shoulder. And then again, if it feels good to lower the arm down more towards your head, coming deeper into side stretch, do. Breathing into that side you're stretching. And then we'll come on back up to the top again, and we're going to come forward again. So put your hands here or on your legs. So if your legs are closer together, sometimes it feels better to slide your hands down towards your ankles or your toes, right? If your legs are farther apart, sometimes that's not possible unless you have really long arms, right? So you can always put your hands on the floor in front of you or on a block. Ease your way where you're able to go. Let your inner thighs get a nice stretch here. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly walk ourselves back upright and bring our legs together. So if you need, you can let your hands help you. Bring your legs on around. And we're going to come on down onto our backs on the floor from here. So come on down. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Separate your knees and let your hands come down either to hold your shins or your ankles, or you can bring the soles of the feet together and clasp around the outside edges of the feet there. That's up to you, right? Just let the hips release. You can kind of shift a little bit side to side if you want. Let your low back release. And then bring the knees on back towards the chest. Stretch your arms out beside you into a T position. And then we're just going to let the knees come from one side to the other. Now, it may not be very far. So you may want to let the knees come over to the left just a little ways and come back into center. And then let the knees come over towards the right and come back. Or you may want to let the knees go way down towards the ground. Right? That's up to you. You can stay with the knees down, way down towards the floor, and stay in a twist there if that feels good, or you can keep moving. So if it's easier for you to let yourself come from side to side, letting your breath help you, right? But just listen to your body here. Once you feel like you're done with these twists, if there's something else you need to do, let your body go right to it. If you need to come into any other pose or movement, a happy baby pose, if you like just to stretch your body out or do a little bridge pose or come into some little pelvic tilts if that feels really easy and releasing for you. Take your time. Just don't think about it. Let the body do the thinking for a change. Let your head get out of the picture. And see if you can just allow yourself to move or do any pose that feels good to you. Be mindful. So, if you're like, I'm totally ready for Shavasana, I don't need to do anything else. There are a lot of ways you can allow yourself to release for Shavasana. So by all means, if you need a blanket, bolsters. So if you're in the studio, I can bring you anything you might need. You're welcome. See if that's good. And if you're at home, you can always, if your back feels iffy, bring a rolled blanket, or if you have a bolster for underneath your knees, you can bring it. I got you. So the idea is to get comfortable as you can be. Sometimes after a yoga class, there are some little things that happen once you lie out where you're like, I feel like I want some support. So if you do, let yourself use whatever you need to allow yourself to release. Just let yourself easily now feel the support of the ground underneath you. And just watch your breath as they come in and go out, like you're watching the waves of the ocean coming in and out. So you wouldn't feel the need to control waves if you were watching water coming in and out. So feel that same way about your breath. And just keep returning to that wave of your breath. Whenever your mind goes off, softly bring it back, refocusing back again to the in and out of your breath. And give your body and your brain these few quiet minutes, allowing yourself to benefit however you need. Just let yourself completely and fully relax. easily start to bring yourself back to feeling the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Allowing your breaths to come in and go out more fully and deeply. Feeling those deeper breaths. Start to physically move the body again, feeling the belly rising and falling. And letting your fingers and your toes, when you're ready to move, start to wiggle and move around a little bit up into your hands, your feet, your wrists, your ankles. You might want to circle around a little bit and let your arms, your legs do what they need, stretch or bend. Feel the ground underneath you still supporting you. That makes it easier to start to feel that movement happen. And you know you're welcome to roll onto either side if you're comfortable to do that. You can come to the right or the left side with your knees bent in a soft fetal position to adjust a little bit there. Give the body and the brain a little longer if you need. So that when you do feel like rising up to sitting, it feels natural and easy. You want to sit however's comfortable for your hips with your legs stretched out or crossed on a blanket if you choose. Let your eyes close. Shift around a little bit to get really evened out there if you can. And then feel that lift upward again through the top of your head, all that space in your spine. Feeling the shoulders release down away from your ears, coming back to your breaths. And let your next exhale bring your hands gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Thursday.